Firefighting has been an important everyday activity just as much as keeping our houses safe with the help of our security services as much as possible. In this interview, we speak with the Ghana National Fire Service to look at the year in retrospect, get to understand how fires have been fought this year, some of the challenges and all the other issues. And of course, we'll get you answers to some of your bargain questions about the work of the National Fire Service. My name is Eche Atiso, and after this break, I sit down with ADO2 Alex King Nate, who is an Assistant Divisional Officer of the Ghana National Fire Service at the PR Department. When we return after this break, we'll get into the conversation. ADO2 Alex King Nate, you're welcome to our studios.
Thank you very much. I'm impressed. GhanaWeb is really the way to go when it comes to the modern age, internet. I'm being reliable for news, and it's one of my favorite sites I go when I see a story from GhanaWeb. I know it's really authentic. Thank you
very much. It's good to hear that coming from you. But how has it been? How has it been the whole year for fires? We're here to talk about fires, but give me an overview of what the year has been for the Ghana National Fire Service.
Okay, so the year has been quite an interesting year. It's been good and bad. Good to in the view that people have adherence or compliance to our fire safety education has been adhered to as compared to last year. Notwithstanding, we still record quite a number of fires. Just on Sunday, we recorded a very huge fire at a residence at Tantra Hill. It was quite, but our men were up to task. We were able to confine the fire only to the top floor. The down floor, which was used as a pharmaceutical warehouse, was protected. So yes, it's been an eventful year, but we, as GNFS, we're on top of our game, and we always put our lives at risk to make sure people survive.
It's interesting you talk about being on top of your game and all that. We'll come to more of the details about some of the misconceptions, the stereotypes, and all of those things that come in. But generally, you say you had a good and bad year.
Yes.
On the regional level in the country, which regions would you say actually had a lot of fires? And maybe why?
Okay, so it stands between Accra and Kumasi.
Okay, so the Greater Accra.
Greater Accra, Tema. Probably they are separate regions when it comes to fire service, but then I'll probably bundle them together. Greater Accra and Tema, mostly, and then Kumasi. But I think more is we record more at the Greater Accra and Tema, mostly because I think it's the migration from other places to Greater Accra and Tema is much more massive. Industrialization is also one thing. We have a lot of industries
in these areas,
and commercial activities in these areas are really booming. So I think it's one of the reasons why we record a lot of fires here as compared to, we get a few fires out in the hinterlands, like in the northern regions, Sunyani and all, but they have to do with bushfires, and our bushfire department or directorate is also on top of their games, manning to ensure that people's investment in their farms are not gutted by fires.
Now, I just want to know, because fires are more or less like a daily, is it okay to say they are daily occurrences?
Exactly.
And you mentioned how cosmopolitan a number of these places are. What are some of the weirdest causes that you have encountered as being the reasons for fires in certain places?
Okay, so let me just chip this in. Believe it or not, this is a scary fact, but we record no less than about 20 fires in a day. Accra and Tema alone.
No less than 20?
In a day.
Small fires, big fires? What kind of fires?
Together, bundled together. We have small, some could be vehicular, some could be residential, some could be commercial. So we record no less than 20 fires in a day. Accra and Tema alone. If I had my gota here, you would hear our men are always on the move, going for fires. So people always think fires are very far from them. So I think that's one reason why people do not pay so much audience to fire education, which is unfortunate. They only become very much interested in fire education when they know someone who
is close to them.
Yes. I remember one of my aunties sells at Medina. She's never asked me for a fire extinguisher before, but there's this place around Red Cove Plaza got burnt recently. Then she called me, Alex, me here for extinguish. Just because she's seen fire close to her now. So fires are never far from people, just when the least expected. Even my house, God forbid, but I'm not immune to fires. We've realized that most fires are either out of negligence, electrical causes, or negligence as in natural causes, and then or act of God. So negligence, arson, electrical faults, or negligence. Yeah.
Now, negligence. I'm interested in the act of God aspect.
Okay.
People say that a lot about things like disasters. What's an act of God kind of disaster?
Okay, so force majeures. Force majeures normally has to do with lightning. If there's lightning and you don't have a very good earthing system in your homes, it could affect the electrical systems in your home and cause fires. You know, so those are just a few of it. Also, when arson, there are people who like to deliberately burn their homes or burn their shops to be able to get some insurance claims.
Is that a thing?
It's a thing. It happens a lot. Imagine someone's been paying insurance premiums for over 5-10 years. Hasn't claimed before. The person is in debt, needs money quickly. The person could just set some fire and then get some nice alibi, you know, when he or she is not around, and then use it to claim his or insurance.
That's an interesting reason to set fire to.
We've got a lot of those, especially in the markets. We have a lot of situations where there's rivalry between two people. You know, someone feels someone is either undermining her or selling more than her, or some of these petty reasons. So the person can just set fires. Also, when people sleep in the markets, when they sleep in the markets and cook there, they tend to cause fires a lot. So there was one fire at Mile 7 a few months back. There was a fire at Mile 7 a few months back, and we had a tough time fighting the fires because they had gas cylinders in there. So while we were fighting the fires, we had a lot of explosions because the gas was the cylinders were exploding. So yes, those are all part of the negligence. You know, when you have people sleeping again in the markets, some of them tend to smoke. So when they smoke, they don't dispose of the bats very well, and maybe the bats might fall on a combustible material. The fire might not start at once. It will just be smoldering, small. Everyone leaves the market late night. The fire is well alight, and then it starts spreading.
When it comes to the sending out of your fire tenders, what kind of fires do you send tenders to go and attend to?
Every fire. We don't underestimate any fire. So far as you make a call to the Ghana National Fire Service, the most important thing, we have to be also, we as a service are always mindful that it's not a prank call. You know how fuel is expensive now. Moving an appliance involves a lot of fuel. So we have to be sure it's not a prank call. But we don't underestimate, believe it or not, even bee attacks. It's our mandate.
Bee attack?
Yeah. If you have bees at home and you're being attacked by bees, you should call the fire service.
What would the fire service be doing in a place like that? Because that's intriguing.
Yes. Recently, I think at Kenya also in the Nkommo district, our men, if you go on our Facebook page, there's a video of that where there were bees terrorizing the people there. Our men were called. Recently, one lawyer called me that there were bees at his home at East Legon. I called our men at Legon. They went, and that's how, even if someone falls in a manhole, not like the one with the feces. It's our job to go and get the person.
Maybe we should get a broader understanding of the scope of work of the Ghana National Fire Service. What exactly, do you only fight fires? Is that what you do?
That's the interesting misconception people have about fire service. We do road traffic extrication. So whenever there's an accident, the police are our partners in the performance of our duties. So yes, it's good to call the police, but when there's an accident, people are trapped, please, it's important to call the Ghana National Fire Service, because if you go and call the the police do not have the specialized equipment to cut and extricate the trapped victims. We have. So if you call on the police, they will probably come, direct traffic and coordinate the movement of vehicles. But then the people will still be trapped. And this is valuable life being lost with every passing minute. So it's important that you call on the Ghana National Fire Service. We have a crew specially trained for road traffic extrication. So they come there. We have cutters, we have spreaders. So if the accident has caused the dashboard to get close to you and squeezing you, we come with the spreader, we put it there, and then it opens up the dashboard to pull the dashboard away from the victim to allow us to rescue you. We are trained on how to administer first aid, even in the absence of the ambulance service.
Okay.
So once, and you see when accident happens, people rush, oh yeah, it's not the best, because you might be helping the person, but you might end up killing the person because it involves the spine. So if you're pulling the person out and you don't pull him out right,
then
you might end up damaging him for good. So whenever there's an accident, we call on the Ghana National Fire Service. We get there. We also tax, as I said, with rescue, any type of rescue. If there's a building collapse, if there is a bee attack, if you fall in a pit. One of our officers last year, may his soul rest in peace, he was in the central region. And there were 2 or 3 kids who were trapped in a well. He went to rescue them, and then he lost his life.
Alone?
Alone. Like he was with a team, but he had to go in down there to bring the kids out. He successfully brought out the kids, but he couldn't make it, and he died. So there's a lot of, yes, unfortunately, there's a lot of risk. There's a lot of ordeal that our men go through. The least we could ask from people is, instead of hooting at our men, ask our men, oh, what can we get for you? Recently, the fire at Tantra was telling me about. There was one man, Mr. Tokonu. He was very helpful. He had a borehole water supply in his home. And when we come to fight fires, our tankers have capacities. After fighting the fires, we have to go look for source of water to be able to refill the tanks, to be able to, or replenish, to be able to fight the fires. And so when people build on hydrants, it tends to become a big inconvenience for us.
How do people build on hydrants?
It's unfortunate.
Why, you've ever experienced that? Have you ever had an instance like that?
Very recent. A few weeks ago, I think just about 3 weeks ago, when Kantamanto was burning, we saw one of our hydrants in someone's shop.
In a shop?
In a shop. In a shop. I'm not kidding you. We saw the hydrants in the shop.
So what, the shop had been built over the hydrant?
Over the hydrants.
How was that not noticed?
So that's where our city authorities, our market, our district assemblies, all those who are in charge of the markets, I don't know how they do their work, but it's important that you go look at where the person is building their stores. We have a lot of hydrants, and that's a fire service. You can't go to every single hydrant every time. You know, it's up to the market people who know how the markets are demarcated to give people placements on where to place. So I went recently to the Kantamanto fire. They were attacking us, but we brought water, enough water, but the extent of fire, the water runs out, believe it or not, the water runs out in about 2 to 3 minutes when we engage full pump.
Okay.
Within 2 to 3 minutes, the water is finished. And we need to replenish. If there's a working hydrant, it's so easier for us and even for you as a people, because we we couple our hose straight into the hydrant to get direct water supply. And that one, there's no limit. We'll have enough water to fight the fires as much as possible. Okay. But when the hydrants are encroached on, it becomes a problem. So this man, for instance, as I was saying at Tantra, Mr. Tokonu, it was very helpful when we were fighting the fires. He volunteered his borehole water for our men. So we didn't have to go so far trying to look for a hydrant. Okay. He quickly just gave us enough water to replenish our tanks and helped us fight the fires. So
we would come back to more of the conversation shortly. I just want us to go for a quick break. We're still having a conversation with the Ghana National Fire Service. We're looking at the year in review, just a retrospect of how the year has been for firefighting in the country. When we return from the break, we will talk even more about some of the misconceptions that have characterized the National Fire Service. Welcome back from the break. This is still GhanaWeb TV. We are here with ADO2 Alex Kin Nati. He's with the PR unit of the Ghana National Fire Service. We're having a conversation. Alex, now, before we went on the break, you spoke about some of the misconceptions. There are largely a group of people in Ghana who think that the fire service dispatches tenders without water and a lot of other misconceptions, if I may call them so. How do you deal with that? Is it true you send out tenders without water?
It's always funny when we hear that, and when people are closely affected by fires, that's when they start, you're like, oh, okay. The fire at Tantra is a very good example. When before the fire, and I was there, and I was telling people that, oh, someone's here by influence you, and they were, like, it became something we were all laughing about. So there was one lady who works in an insurance company who was saying, oh, today they guys have done well. And I thought that we always do well. But because today you've seen us in action.
Perhaps it's bad press.
Bad press, you see, and people, I think it's an age-old misconception. You see, we don't fight every fire with water. We don't fight. There are some fires that if you try fighting it with water, you'd kill yourself and anyone around you.
What kind of fire would that be?
Electrical fires.
Oh.
So if maybe you see your plugs at home, or like some fires around where your electric socket, your electric system or circuit is, and out of desperation, out of fear, you carry a bucket of water and pour it, you kill yourself instantly. No negotiations, you kill yourself instantly. Because water is a good conductor of electricity. So when, as fire service, you came to work, not to die. So if we get to a fire scene, we do our initial assessment and we realize that this fire is an electric fire. We just can't fight it with water. We call on our control room to call ECG to cut power supply to the area.
Okay.
So until power supply to the area is cut, there's hardly anything we can do.
But how soon do you get responses when you?
Most of the time, very early. Sometimes it takes a while. And the more time it takes, the more the fire also rages. So when we are standing there, hey, they didn't come with water, but we came to the work not to die. And we can't also put the lives of people around in danger by just pouring water there. So we get there and we wait for ECG to cut power supply to the area. Then we go in to engage the pumps.
It appears that a lot of the things we've said in the last few minutes have bordered on education. How well informed is the public about some of the things you do?
Well, Fire Service as an organization has been really education driven. We've prioritized fire education so much. Unfortunately, people have nonchalant attitude towards fire education. The day we went for the fire, we collaborated with one media house to do a fire education at Domi Market.
Okay.
Believe it or not, that night, that's when the Mount 7 markets got burnt. You see, when we got there, we started education, people didn't come around. I had to draw a very scary picture for them to come. I told them that, look, if people don't come and there's a fire, it will take a long time for our plants to come. I told them, look at the traffic here. When our appliance is coming, we'll hit this traffic. And Domi, the only appliance that is closer to Domi that can attend to fires is either Madina, Abilingpi, or Amasaman. That's how scary it is. We don't have any fire station around Domi. We don't have any fire station around Kwabinya. We don't have any fire station around Taifa. If there's fire, the appliance will have to come all the way from either Abilingpi, Madina, Redco Flats, or
all
Amasaman.
the way to Domi.
Exactly.
But how many fire? I hope I'm not cutting you, but I just want to find out how many fire stations do we actually have? Let's situate it just to the Greater Accra region,
Okay,
or
I
maybe
can't.
Accra.
Okay, I don't have the number at hand. I can, off the top of my head, mention some. So there's one just at Abilimpi. There's one at our. So Abilimpi takes care of fires at even Tantra Hill. If there's fires at Tantra Hill, they come. So Tantra Hill, Mile 7, La Paz, Jowulu area. Then our plants at headquarters takes care of Osu, Labadi, no, Osu, cantonments, you know, and even at airports. And we have some at Amasaman, we have Medina, we have Adenta, we have Nungwa, we have some inside the trade fair.
Yes.
You know, we have some at our trainings, we have some at our regional headquarters at Kolebu, we have some at Makola, we have some at Advantage points. Unfortunately,
Are they enough?
they're not enough. I have to concede. Because, believe it or not, there's no fire appliance at the whole of East Legon, School Junction, all that area, there's no fire station. If there's fire, the appliance that has to respond to fires there will either come from University of Ghana campus or will come from Medina. It's quite scary, but I have to draw a very scary picture. I would say two things. One, the kind of infrastructural and logistical investments that some of our sister security agencies enjoy or receive is not at par with what fire service receives. It's unfortunately woefully inadequate. People always are so much security concerned or security conscious than fire conscious or safety conscious. They will always, I'm sure even here you guys will have some regular proofs around to make sure no one budges into, even if I'm looking around here, there are barbed wires all over. People are very much concerned. There are police stations. You have a police station around here. You have a police station even at Nima.
Yes,
All
around.
Exactly. People would rather cry, oh, give us police stations. We need police stations. Crime is a lot. There's a lot of, the crime rate is going up. We need police stations. But have you ever heard, even with you, have you ever called that we need a fire station around this area? No. But they will always call for police stations. It's high time we had a paradigm shift. Security goes hand in hand with safety. When you're calling or demanding for police stations, demand for fire stations. At Jengano, they have a very big police station. No one has ever come to fire service that, oh, fire service, you're giving this plot of land at East Legon. Come and then protect us with your fire appliance. We have a lot of men. We've recruited a lot. Fire services, we are prioritizing our human resource capacity. So we have a lot of men on the ground. And if any opinion leader, any traditional leader comes to fire service that, oh, we have a land here, we need to be protected when it comes to fires, come and have a fire station, we'll gladly come. East Legon, there's no Trazako area, there's no single fire station there. So if there's a fire, the appliance will come all the way from University of Ghana campus. So imagine the traffic, the distance from the University of Ghana campus. Even if you're driving your own saloon car, look at the distance involved.
But even that's scary, because what if there's also a concurrent fire around the campus?
Exactly. So that's a perfect example that happened at Medina Redco Flats.
Okay.
That's where we have our station at Medina. And it so happened that our appliance at Adenta was faulty. It's a machine. It goes out of commission when there's a fault. So Adenta was faulty. So our men were dispatched to a fire at Adenta. Right when they moved in the absence, there was fire at where their fire station is.
Oh.
The same place, the Redco Flats. So we had to call our men from Legon, University of Ghana, to attend to that fire. So imagine if there was a fire also at University of Ghana. That means we would have probably had to call Abilimpi to move all the way there. So it's woefully inadequate.
Let's talk about casualties. I know fires come with a lot of distraction and all that. How bad a picture is it when it comes to casualties?
For our men or for people?
Maybe you look at your men, and even for generally citizens of the country?
Okay, so casualties has been very scary.
Especially in this year.
In this year, there's one accident that personally I was there at Pukwasi.
Okay.
And you see this big, I don't know how to explain it. These big trucks that normally used to carry cows from the hinterlands to Accra. Yes, the Suzuki Auto, it belongs to one security company. The Suzuki Auto had gone under. As to how we got there, I don't know. And 2 men, they all died.
Ooh.
And I was personally there. They were all trapped there with their skulls opened. Our men have been to fire Satama Saman, where a woman locked her children in the room that she was going to church. And when, in her absence, there was fire, and she had locked the kids. So when our men got to the scene of the fire, all the 3 kids were bent and all like this behind the door. And they were all bent, just standing behind the door like this. So there's been a lot of casualties. Our men have also lost their lives. Like as I mentioned, the fire officer from Central Region who went to save the kids, and he died. So we always treat people, when there's fires and the fire service are there, they should give us the space and room to operate. We are trained and we know how to handle situations to prevent death or minimal damage or death to ourselves and even to people. So when people try to come as if they are teaching us our jobs, they are putting their lives in danger.
We'll just have some few minutes before we wrap up this interview, but I want us quickly, just quick ones. From the top of your head, which kind of institutions, big names, have you fought fires in the year in review?
Okay, so we've had a lot of market fires.
Okay.
Those are all, so Kantamanto, we've had a very severe fire. Opera Square, we had a very crazy fire there. There was one time we were fighting fire around the Odoko post office, very raging fire. Just then, CMB, the market, they also caught fires, simultaneously. And our men had to try and divide themselves to go there. So we've been very busy with fires this year, and it's not been a funny situation at all.
All right, I want to find out, climate change, has it affected firefighting in any way at all?
Yes, especially with bushfires.
Okay.
You know, with bushfires, those in the hinterlands, climate change doesn't really help. You know, especially if there's a little bit of fire due to the effect of climate change, it makes fire spread so much, and it becomes quite a problem. Let me just quickly run you through how
let's have
fire
the demonstration now.
is used, and then we can end it. So, we have different types of fire extinguishers, but for now, what we have here is the dry chemical powder, and then the carbon dioxide. They can all be identified by their horns.
Okay.
So a carbon dioxide is identified by this type of horn. You see the big mouth opening. That should let you know that it's a carbon dioxide. And this is a dry chemical powder, which can be identified by the horn also. So
do they all fight the same fires?
They all fight the same fires. They all fight. This one is not ideal for your kitchens because it leaves residues of poisonous substances, the powder, on your utensils, and if you don't take care, it can be poisonous. But it's generally, so you find a lot of this, and this even at the filling stations. So fires that water can fight, gaseous fires, fires involving even oils, these two extinguishers are good for fighting them. So in fire service, generally, we have this acronym we use, PASS: pull, aim, squeeze, and spray or spread. So people would get fire extinguishers, and when they see fire, they'll start pressing. You realize that it's not working.
It's locked.
It's locked. So someone who is not inclined on how it's operated would panic and could kill themselves. So the first important thing to do is to pull the safety pin. You pull it. Also, sometimes on the safety, there's a lot of safety measures that are employed. So you'd have to turn it around to be able to break it and then pull it out. So when it's pulled, you aim at the seat of the fire. When there's a fire here, you don't just stand here and spray it all over. It won't. You have to aim at the base of the fire, the base where the fire is actually burning. And then, so not to scare you, but you hear some sound. So you squeeze, and then you spread or spray it. So if there's a fire, when you pull, you aim at the seat of the fire, then you squeeze, and then you spray it. Would you want to try it?
I should perhaps try this.
Please do.
So to the base, right?
Yes, base of the fire.
And then, ooh,
And then you
that's
sweep
nice.
it. You know, you sweep, because then the fire, once you are fighting it, it will be spreading. So you have to sweep it. So it tackles every angle of the fire.
This operates the same way.
This operates the same way.
Very interesting.
But just that this will leave residue. Unlike, you realize there's no residue.
This has no residue.
Yes. And so they are both ideal for homes. Personally, I have one of these at home.
Okay.
You have to always have a certified fire officer to help ensure that you realize that yours is on green.
That
Meaning
means
that
it's
it's good.
okay.
The pressure is good. This one doesn't.
This
have
won't
the
show.
pressure.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
You know, but at least you see this one here. It has a pressure. So the fire officer will have to, a certified fire officer would have to come and check to be sure that the pressure is adequate enough. And if you don't subject it to regular servicing and you face an emergency,
It's useless.
it's useless.
Okay.
The fire extinguishers are not used when the fire is well alight and fast spreading. Please, when it's at that level, please run away. Leave the job to the professionals to fight it. An extinguisher is only used at the incipient stages. When the fire starts, that's the only time you use a fire extinguisher. So immediately, the first thing you do is immediately you see a fire and it's fast spread, like the fire starts, call the fire service. And as you call, looking at the distance as I had mentioned, and you have an extinguisher, you can start using the extinguisher to manage the fire at the incipient stage.
All right, we would just wrap up shortly. But before we go, I want to find out what the plans are for the coming year. We are going into a new year.
Yes.
What's the plan like, the roadmap for the fire service in terms of fighting fires?
Okay, so as a responsible institution, we always evaluate our performances for the year and try to anticipate measures ahead of the coming year. So what we're doing is we'll be receiving a rapid intervention vehicle very soon. These will be vehicles that can fight fires, that's much more faster and can penetrate through traffic easier as compared to the big fire tenders.
Okay.
So if there's a fire that is not too big or that needs to be attended to quickly, this vehicle can quickly get there, manage the fire until a much bigger appliance is there. Ahead of the Christmas and the New Year also, where we record a lot of fires, we've started night patrols. Most of our stations have Amasama, they've been going for night patrols. Tema, they've been going for night patrols, especially at the markets, because those are where there seems to be a lot of fires. So as a service, we are expecting some new fire tenders coming in, which would aid us to be able to supply fire tenders to some of our stations that have their appliances either damaged or without appliances, so that we can be able to better serve the good people of Ghana. But what we would always wish for is that people would, instead of fighting with our men, gladly saying, I was fighting with the fire officer. There was a video where a woman said she almost threw a stone at the fire officer. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't help anyone. Instead of fighting our men, support our men. Who doesn't like to be pampered? Pamper our men, and they will also give up their lives to save you. Wonderful.
Before we go, just tell us how people can reach us. What's the surest way of getting through to the fire service?
Okay, so with fire service, we have our short code, the 192. 192 comes straight to the Ghana National Fire Service, and then we quickly respond to you. But we receive a lot of prank calls, especially when kids are on vacation. They tend to call. People call and say ridiculous things. Someone can even, excuse my language, can even call the fire service and say that my wife's private part is on fire. Come and quench it. You know, it's a queue. When you call until you get off the line, we can't speak under call. So when you are there playing games with our lines, someone who has a very legitimate problem will also be trying to reach us, and you are being an hindrance. And they will say they've called fire service. They're not getting us just because an irresponsible person is messing around. So please, let me give you our landline to our emergency, our fire master control, where if the 192 is choked, When you call that line, quickly goes through 0302 772 446. Then there's a GOTA line for our control room. That's 0291 702 094. Also, we will then treat people that know the numbers to the various fire station closer to you, because this one, when you call, it will come to our control room before they dispatch the appliance closest to you. But if you stay probably around Pokwasi and you know the station, the number for the Amasaman fire station, you call them directly and then they will dispatch immediately.
Okay.
So Amasaman, for instance, if you stay within Amasaman, their FMC or their control room number is 029 170 2125. You call and then you are guaranteed within 1 minute. When you call, within 1 minute, we move from the station to attend to your needs.
All right, ADO2 Alex Kenati, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
For
glad being here.
And then that was our conversation with the ADO2 Alex Kenati, and this is a brother. I've known this man for a while now, but I was glad you came here to give us some education. He is with the PR unit of the Ghana National Fire Services, an assistant divisional officer. Thank you very much for joining us here on GhanaWeb TV as we had this conversation. We hope that the education will be worthwhile for all of you out there. Let's stay safe. My name is Eche Atisu. Until another time, bye-bye.